Welcome back, Truth Seeker. January 31st, 2019, a Thursday. It's episode 61 of the Monday through Friday podcast. I said I was going to start using two screens so I could see the chat at the same time. So I can see the chat right now. I do have a second screen. I realized I could hook up my old laptop and just watch my video on the other screen. I don't know why it took me so long to think about. Whoops, that volume off. But this way I can try and keep an eye on the chat as I go through the presentation in case anybody has anything brilliant to point out. So let me go through the presentation, and then if anybody wants to call in and ask any questions or has anything to share, again, that number is 509-731-0567. So take calls at the end. Wasn't a real busy day in the news, but fortunately, pretty interesting day in history. So let's start with this day in history and then move forward. In 1606, on this day, Guy Fawkes of the Gunpowder Plot, where those famous anonymous masks come from, the film V for Vendetta made that very popular. On this day, he was convicted of high treason for his part in the Gunpowder Plot. He was set to be hanged, drawn and quartered, but broke his neck after falling or jumping from the scaffold. And what's interesting about the day that he was going to be assassinated is it was a date with 54 numerology, and he was a Jesuit. Jesuit order equals 54. It was also a date with 38 numerology, and death equals 38. Reminds that Saint Ignatius of Loyola, the man responsible for the Jesuits, even he died by the numbers. He died 84 days from his own birthday. Jesuit has that Gematria of 84. What else is interesting is the way his birthday lines up with the actual Gunpowder Plot date. Show you something real quick. Gunpowder Plot has this Gematria of 165 and 57. So does Scottish Rite. 165, 57. Scottish Rite also has Gematria of 159, and the date of the Gunpowder Plot, which was November 5th, 1605, 1605, it was 159 days from Guy Fawkes' birthday. And again, the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite shares the same motto with the Jesuit order. And I always think of Washington, D.C. when I think of the Jesuits and the Scottish Rite. Used to be the Catholic colony, why it's between Virginia and Maryland. Now the headquarters of the Scottish Rite. And supposedly the Catholics and Freemasonry are enemies of each other, but sometimes I wonder if that's just, you know, the illusion put out, the public perception. So anyway, Guy Fawkes, dead on a very fitting date. He also died a span of 73 days from his own birthday. 73 books in Catholic Bibles. Of course, we know sacrifice is 73. Dead in Westminster. On this day, in 1950, big jump in history, President Harry S. Truman announced he had ordered development of the hydrogen bomb. And the thing about January 31st, the way we write that in the US is 1/31, a lot like 131, the 32nd prime number. And of course, America and bomb, sum to 32. So big bomb news in America on a very fitting date. As a reminder, Truman was the 33rd president of the United States with a fitting birthday, May 8th of 1884. Masonry equals 33 and 84. Freemasonry 58, May 8th birthday. Type in the name Harry S. Truman too real quick. Harry S. Truman has that 59. Remember, Freemasonry is 59 in Hebrew and in English. And if you just write out Harry Truman and leave off the S, it's 58 as well. Harry S. Truman. In 1958, the same year NASA was established, the United States entered the space age with its first successful launch of a satellite, the Explorer 1 from Cape Canaveral. And notice the gematria of Explorer 1, when you write out 1, 147, like outer space, like Freemason, like conspiracy, like spaceship. Remember, this shows up a lot in the history of NASA. Space age. The Explorer 1 kicked off the space age. Space age has that gematria of 57, like outer space, like conspiracy. Same with Moon. Same with Scottish Rite. Again, the Scottish Rite has the shrine paying tribute to NASA. Space age also has the gematria of 42, like outer space, like Freemason. So. Could it all be a coincidence? Of course not. And not an accident it was in 58 either. In 1961, on this date, NASA launched Ham the Chimp aboard a Mercury Redstone rocket from Cape Canaveral. Ham was recovered safely from the Atlantic Ocean following his 16.5-minute suborbital flight. And this happened on the 31st. Chimp equals 31, sending a chimp into space. Ham the Chimp has gematria of 59. Ham, when you just flip the alphabetic order, is 59. Again, Freemasonry is 59. 59 is the 17th prime. That's why modern Freemasonry was established in 1717. And of course, space and Mason are 17 as well. I should also note NASA. Remember the rule for S. NASA with reduction gematria is 8. But if you use the rule for S, S is the 19th letter. 19, the numerology is 1 plus 9 is 10. And then the numerology of 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. S is the only letter that has to be reduced 2 times. So there's the rule for S, where S can also be 10. And if you do that with NASA, it's 17. So, definitely relevant. In 1990, on this date, McDonald's Corporation opened its first fast food restaurant in Moscow. You know, a city with an M, McDonald's with its M logo. Every alphabet that has an M in it, the word Mason begins with that letter. And McDonald's, big news on the 31st, McDonald's 31. As we talked about yesterday. Yesterday there was a story about how McDonald's, their sales are up. They're doing better than ever. And we pointed out McDonald's, Burger King, Freemasonry, all overlap. M13, B plus K, 2 plus 11, 13. And for another Masonic tribute, Moscow has that gematria 74, like Masonic. Again, the United States, Soviet Union, Russia, they're the left and right bicep of the New World Order. The military prowess, the nuclear programs, don't ever forget nuclear energy weapon, they're all 74, just using the alphabetic order. But similar military programs, similar space programs, kept their people in fear for decades with the Cold War. Speaking of which, coming up on the Cold War conversation with what's supposed to happen tomorrow. But Cold War's got that 113 gematria, like Scottish, so the number of deception. In 2000, on this date, an Alaska Airlines MD-83 jet crashed in the Pacific Ocean off Port Hueneme, California. Sure, I said that wrong. People there probably know how to pronounce it. Killing all 88 people aboard. Well, just seeing 88 off the coast of California right away, that's a trigger in my mind. Like, really? 88 off the coast of California, California 88? But just also the letters on that jet. 83, what do we know about that number? Murder 83. MD, M's the 13th letter. The numerology of 13 is 1 plus 3 is 4. So MD is 44. You know, numbers related to death and killing. What else I noticed is the name of this town. Gematria 59, like Freemasonry. Pacific Ocean also has the gematria 58, like Freemasonry. Makes you wonder, why do things always point in their direction? Is it a made-up story? Is it a military experiment? In 2005, jury selection began in Santa Maria, California for Michael Jackson's child molestation trial. I didn't go far with this. I didn't even measure from Michael's birthday or anything. I'm sure there's a million more things to this. But just following all the Masonic themes, Santa Maria, California, or Santa Maria alone 74 like Masonic. Santa Maria, CA is 223 like Masonic's 223. Santa Maria, California is 139 like Freemasonry, like America. And as a reminder, the Bavarian Illuminati, which was established May 1st, 1776. Michael Jackson would go on to die on George Orwell's birthday 4 years later. Let's just take it a step further. I should have. It'll just take a second. I wonder how that's synced up with Jackson's birthday. August 29th. How old would he have been? So he was 45 years old at the time. Let's see. August 29th, 2008. January 31st, 2000. Or no. It was 2004, right? That would have been his last birthday. Yeah, this happened in the year 2005. 155 days. Freemasons, the plural is 155. If you do the full span, it's 156 days. And when you write out 33, it's 156. Michael's 33. To his upcoming birthday that year. 210 days or a span of 211. I always stayed away from the whole Michael Jackson shaming thing, you know. If it was in the news, I knew better, even before I knew Gematria. All right, now here's my favorite story from this day. On January 31st, 1971, astronauts Alan Shepard, Edgar Mitchell, and Stuart Roosa blasted off aboard Apollo 14 on a mission to the moon. They say this is the first mission where astronauts hit golf balls off the moon. And of course, golf equals 14 for Apollo 14, as we'll get to, but there's some better nuggets here. 71 was a right year for an Apollo mission, Apollo 71. Right here it says, in 1971, Shepard got his wish. He and Ed Mitchell were selected for the Apollo 14 mission to the moon. You calling in about the live stream?
No, I just seen you on live. I just wanted to say something right quick.
Okay, I'm on live right now. What's going on?
I just got pulled over by the police, and he called me a Bravo Mike. That's all I had to say.
A Bravo Mike?
Yeah, for black male, BM, Bravo Mike.
Oh my God.
It's hilarious. I just did it on top of my head and started laughing.
That's horrible. Where are you at in the nation?
I'm in South Carolina.
In South Carolina. Yeah. Well, I hope they didn't harass you too much. That's terrible, man. A Bravo Mike.
Nah, do you see the Gematria on it?
I haven't done it yet.
Well, I'm gonna get off the phone and you looked at it and just laugh.
42, man. Oh my God. Well, thanks for the call, man. You just added to the show. I'm sorry that happened to you. I hope you're all right.
It's all good. I ain't tripping.
All right, take care, man.
All right.
Well, it's nice to have the Gematria hotline, but wow. Look at what else is there. Police is 147 in Jewish Gematria. I mean, total overlap with Freemason. 3 of the 4 ciphers. Something else. A Bravo Mike. Wow. All right, coming back to the Apollo thing. They took off on January 31st, 1971, and they spent more than 33 hours on the moon. Remember, lunar's 33. During this mission, Shepard became the 5th person to walk on the moon. Remember when you write out 5, it equals 42? Like Freemason, like outer space. And the first to play golf on its surface. So look at this. Shepard was born November 18th, which is the 322nd day of the year, 322. 322. And the day he died was July 21st, which is the same day that man first walked on the moon. Neil Armstrong and his spacecraft, the story is they touched down July 20th, but they didn't get out and walk on the lunar surface until July 21st. And I remember that well because it's my birthday. But Shepard would go on to die on that same day. I mean, just think about it. That was a date with 55 numerology. Sacrifice has that Gematria 55. But born on 322 day. You know what else? Now that I think about it, November 18th leaves 43 days left in the year. As we know, Masonic's 43, but 43 is the 14th prime number. So born on the day, leaving 43 days left in the year, the 14th prime. He's in Apollo 14 and becomes the first guy to golf on the moon. At least so we're told. So what a joke. Not to mention, Shepard was 74 years old when he died. And not only was he 74, but from his birthday to his date of death was 35 weeks on the nose. NASA 35. Hard to overlook the 8 months and 3 days, too, because what do we know about 83? Murder. So here's the big breaking news this evening. Mike Pompeo expected to announce U.S. suspension of INF treaty. And this is the treaty between the U.S. and Russia to end the Cold War. He's going to make this announcement tomorrow, February 1st, 2019. That'll be a date with 42 numerology. February has the 42 Gematria as well. So does war. So does World War. So does Russia. So does Freemason. Think about all the Masonic rituals over the years to get us involved in war. Think about George Washington, the Freemason war general with the 42nd state, Washington, named after him. But right here, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is expected to announce Friday that the U.S. will suspend participation in an arms control treaty with Russia that has been a centerpiece of European security since the Cold War, according to 2 U.S. officials and multiple diplomatic sources familiar with the matter. President Donald Trump and his senior officials have been signaling for months that they are ready to pull out of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which the U.S. and Europe accuses Moscow of violating since 2014. The suspension raises concerns about a renewed arms race with Moscow and has put European allies on edge. Starts a 180-day clock to complete withdrawal unless Russia returns to compliance with the 1987 agreement. Now, remember, the Russia investigation's going on right now that's led by Robert Mueller, who has an August 7th birthday, 87. Of course, Russia equals 87. And from 87 to 2019 is 32 years later. So here we are 32 years later. You know, looks like we're working up some order out of chaos. Chaos 19. Here we are. But 32 years later, America 32. Of course, America established on the date with 32 numerology. Also, Scottish equals 32. Don't forget that one. UK equals 32. The United Kingdom, I'm pretty sure that really includes the United States. The day this agreement was signed between Gorbachev and Reagan, December 8th, 87. 12 plus 8 is 20, plus 87 is 107, military 107. And that reminds me that Russia's current leader, Putin, has the October 7th birthday, 10/7. Military power. I mean, you just got to ask, like, what kind of decisions are these from world leaders? Yeah. It's what they've done all throughout history. Just steer us around, start unnecessary conflicts by the numbers. You can understand why they're doing it on the big 42 date, February 1st. Just taking a peek here at the I see Hickok's in the chat. He linked his blog. Be sure to check out his blog. Hickok's doing great work there. I see his comments in the chat. I saw 47 today. Did you guys see this story? Barbra Streisand replies to Richard E. Grant's fan letter 47 years later. So CNN and Fox carried this today, but People in Huffington Post broke it yesterday, January 30th, which was the perfect day to break it. So Barbra Streisand answers Richard E. Grant's fan letter 47 years later. And notice the guy's name is Richard. Richard's 47. 47 symbolizes time, 47 years, time 47. This story broke on a date with 43 numerology. Richard has Gematria 43. So does Barbara, as in Barbra Streisand. That's the way her birth name is spelled, but she actually spells a little bit different for her star name. She drops the A and just turns it to Barbara, but her birth name is that way. They said that this man wrote the letter when he was 14 years old. And remember that she's a 61-year-old actor. The 61-year-old actor on Tuesday posted a picture of himself. He's 61, excuse me. The 61-year-old actor on Tuesday posted a picture of himself outside Streisand's house with a fan letter he wrote to the legendary performer when he was 14. And again, 43 is the 14th prime number. Just talked about that with the moon mission. And his surname's Grant. This story broke on the 30th. It's when the news first reported on it. But if you go to the tweets, you can see that supposedly the tweets back and forth were happening the day prior, January 29th. Now, with regards to him being 61, the 61st Grammys are upcoming. Hold on, before I get to the 61st Grammys piece. In light of them tweeting back and forth on the 29th, Streisand has a gematria of 109, the 29th prime. But I think this has to do just a little publicity right before the 61st Grammys. And Barbara's up for an award for the 61st Grammys. He's 61 years old. And of course, Barbra Streisand, the way she spells it for her entertainment name, where she drops the A, is 61. For all you bettors out there, I'm sure you can probably bet on if she'll win this award. I think there's a strong indication she will. I think there's a strong indication she's going to take it home for the 61st Grammys. So I know a lot of these websites will let you bet on anything. I think Barbara might be worth a pick if you're that person. The 61-year-old actor gets his wish after 47 years. And oh, by the way, with 47 and 61, time with the alphabetic order is 47. When you flip it around, it's 61. So all about time. There was another back and forth between Trump and Nancy Pelosi, and they're already indicating that there's going to be another government shutdown unless Trump declares a national emergency to get the funds for the wall. And what I noticed is from his birthday to the date of this news, 33 weeks. Federal has that gematria of 51 as well as 33. Today's date, the date this happened, date with 51 numerology. 33 weeks. And to his upcoming birthday is 134 days later this year. You know, Make America Great Again, 134. At the same time this is going on, Roger Stone's front and center. Remember, we're seeing the riddles now, how the stories are synced up with Roger Stone and the big events with the wall. And again, when you just think about it, just the name, Stone Wall. I mean, self-explanatory. Riddles in numbers and in words. So Roger Stone has his day in court tomorrow. He's going to go before the judge. There's another potential government shutdown February 15th. See if we get a national emergency before then. As for Roger Stone appearing in court tomorrow before the judge, it'll be his 159th day of his age. Donald Trump, 159. And again, all of these arrests for all of these stories that we've seen, Manafort, Cohen, Stone, other people I can't think of anymore, they've all been on dates that all just point back to Trump. And of course, you know, these are Trump's people in the puppet show. But Donald Trump, 159, same with Scottish Rite. If you don't count the span, it's 158 days later. Again, that's a Freemasonry number. It's also a Jesuit number. Jesuits formed on August 15th, 15/8. And the reporting has a little Apple advertising in it. They got the information off his iCloud. Somebody also told me that this week, Roger Stone, there was a shot of him. I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it. Maybe it is out there. Somebody said there was a shot of him in the media doing the peace sign with both fingers, like how Richard Nixon did. It wouldn't surprise me. We've seen plenty of tributes to Richard Nixon. So, and again, just yesterday, Roger Stone said the Russia investigation is like a speeding bullet approaching Trump's head. Now, shout out to Hickok. He tipped me off to this story today. He covered this at his blog. Maybe you've already seen it, but I definitely have to present it. Wouldn't have seen it without Hickok, but just follows this pattern we've been talking about this year with 26 and the NFL season. Today, Sam Adams, or Samuel Adams, the beer company, debuted a new can in tribute to Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the GOAT. You can see the football player here. Let me make that bigger. You can see the football player here with the GOAT's head. Kind of like the Baphomet head. Baphomet has that Gematria 35 like Tom Brady, like QB, like Super Bowl, like football. But what they put on the can is too old, too slow, still here. And look at that phrase, 101. That's the 26th prime number. 101 is the 26th prime. And what do we know about 26? Again, this season began on a date with 26 numerology on the 26th of Elul. The AFC is going for its 26th Super Bowl. The AFC just won the Pro Bowl with 26 points. And countless other things that we've documented over the year. So one more tribute to 26, plus the name Samuel has Gematria 26. It's Samuel Adams beer. Samuel also has Gematria 37, like Patriots, like Los Angeles. Patriots going for their 37th playoff win. And as for them debuting it today, January 31st, I mean, come on. What have we been talking about for years? Championship equals 131. Super Bowl 131. When you write out 57, it equals 131. The Patriots last won the Super Bowl 2 years ago in their 57th season. They're now in their 59th season, the 17th prime, playing the Rams, the rematch of the Super Bowl from 17 years ago, where the Rams lost in that Super Bowl with 17 points. Rams and goats, what they have in common is they're used for sacrifices. Rams also happens to have Gematria 57. They advanced to the Super Bowl with a 57-yard field goal. And the other thing that's neat about this, January 31st, 2019, date was 71 numerology. Notice Sam Adams, 71. Samuel, 71, just using the alphabetic order. So how nice. How nice. I know another big 71, Catholic, and we got 2 quarterbacks that went to Catholic high schools. So good work there, Hickok. Thank you for the heads up on that. I don't know where you caught that story, but I'm glad you did. Today, General Electric paid out $1.5 billion for their old subprime mortgage lending company that was part of what caused the economic collapse at the end of George W. Bush's term, so more than a decade ago now. They're saying that that's actually good news for GE because now they have nowhere to go but up. And their stock boomed 11% today. Look at these stories. These were the top stories right now. Their stock jumped 11% if you read the story. And we have 11 dead on the front page. And I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second. I'm just thinking about all the homeless people in this nation. I can't imagine how many homeless people froze to death in this storm. You know, as cold as it's been, there are just homeless people all over this nation, and I am having trouble believing only 11 people died as many areas were experiencing the weather. And I absolutely think that this This weather, it's a form of population control. Don't ever forget about those Georgia Guidestones that say maintain the Earth's population at 500 million. I bet you at least hundreds of people died from this storm. You know, Time Lord Osceola, he sent me a text and he said in his area in Minnesota where he lives, the power was out. So how many places had to experience that too? The power out while the temperatures are sub-zero? No. Elderly people. Hard for them to survive things like this. But 11/11 they report. By the way, cold has Gematria 74, which in numerology 7 plus 4 is 11. Freeze has Gematria 38 and 65, both numbers that break down to 11. Here it is right here. The GE stock spiked 11% after the news. The other thing I noticed is we covered this October 1st. It was the day that GM dumped their CEO and got a new CEO. From that day to this news was 122 days later. And subprime mortgage lender, that was their subprime mortgage lender is what the fines were paid for. So from that day, the CEO changed to this news 122 days later. I mean, coincidence? I doubt it. If you write out subprime mortgage lending, I noticed it some to 119, and it just reminded me how George W. Bush, his presidency began with the crisis of September 11th, 11/9, and then he exited his presidency with the crisis of the scandals regarding subprime mortgage lending. And I thought, how interesting that that phrase equals 119. You know, Bush, it begins with the number, it ends with the number. I never realized that until today. So, and that also reminds that on October 30th, I covered this story about General Electric. GE hit by new investigation from SEC, and then on that day, GE slashes a 119-year-old dividend to a penny. So, familiar numbers that show up again and again and again. And for the record, General Electric has the gematria of 137, the 33rd prime, 74 like Masonic. And notice when you write out that phrase, 1.5 billion, it's 223. Go figure, huh? 223. Somebody out in New Jersey asked if I could look into this story. No problem. Anytime somebody asks me to look into a story and I got time, I absolutely will. Yesterday, big fire, 10-alarm fire, destroyed a longtime paper mill there, referred to as iconic. So this is what's interesting about this fire happening yesterday, Wednesday, January 30th, 2019, a date with 43 numerology. New Jersey's 43. Fire is 43. Firemen is 43. Now they said 343 firemen died on September 11th. The product is 7 times 7 times 7. Order out of chaos in Jewish gematria 777. Dennis Leary, his firefighter foundation for the September 11th victims, whatever the name of it is, if you look it up and type it in, you'll see it sums to 343. I can just do that real quick. Dennis Leary Firefighter Foundation. It might even just be called that. I forget. Is that what it's called? The Leary Firefighters Foundation. Is that right? Leary Firefighters Foundation. Let me see. The? Oh, it's with the in the front. That's what it is. The Leary Firefighters Foundation. 343. And again, 343 dead firefighters on September 11th. That's what that foundation's for. Notice the 163 too. That's the 38th prime number. Fire with the alphabetic order is 38. You might recall the other year, Dennis Leary promoting that on Thanksgiving with the Dallas Cowboys at Fire Station 43. Dallas Cowboys 43. They went to Fire Station 43, Firemen 43, and they gave them all new Ford pickup trucks 43. That was the football Thanksgiving Day feel-good story. Football 43, Masonic 43. Anyhow, this plant here, Marcal, Gematria 42. When you write out 42, it equals 43. Freemasons 42, Masonics 43. Paper plants also 119. That's what it was. New Jersey 119. Paper plant also 47. New Jersey 47. My guess is this was a little insurance fraud here. If you write out 10 as a word, speaking of how Markel's 42, Markel was 42. Write out 10. It's also got that 42. 10 alarm fire. Somebody asked if we could look into the 4.7 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Maryland. This was actually the middle of the month. I didn't hear about this, but it happened January 15th, a Tuesday. 4.7, a bit like 47, the 15th prime number on the 15th. And Maryland has the Gematria 47 as well. And what stood out to me is they said it was about 136 miles offshore. That's the 16th triangular, January 15th. 1 plus 15 is 16, 136, the 16th triangular. Maybe, maybe not. It just reminds me about the rituals that have been going on in Maryland the past year with those numbers. Last year in the tournament, college basketball tournament, in the 136th game all time in the men's tournament, where there was a 16 versus a 1 seed, in the 136th opportunity, that for the first time ever, a 16 beat a 1, and that was on March 16th, and that team was from Maryland. And then later in the college football season, as it was getting underway, you had the death of the football player with the name Jordan, which reminds you of basketball. And as I talked about earlier this year, his death had everything to do with that college basketball game. So this could be unrelated, but the number just stands out right away in light of what I've been looking at in Maryland the last year. And again, it could also just be reported that way, you know. So the 4.7 on the 15th, that's not an accident, though. Put out a quick video on this today. Perhaps you already saw it. Today, January 31st, it's Jackie Robinson's birthday. Last year, there were 3 deaths in the news, all of which were black folks, and all with connections to the number 42. And this year on Jackie Robinson's birthday, what we get is an update in the story of Jussie Smullett, who was supposedly attacked by white men wearing MAGA hats, the Make America Great Again hat. That was 2 days ago, January 29th. Now today, the latest news in the story is that last week on January 22nd, this same actor received a letter in the mail that had white powder. And again, this is about race, so white powder. They said it was crushed aspirin. But the thing is, January 22nd, 19 was a date with 42 numerology. January 22nd, 2019 was a date with a life lesson number of 42. If you tuned in, we just had somebody call in to let us know that he got pulled over in South Carolina, and the police officer referred to him as a Bravo Mike, as in a black male. And look at it. Bravo Mike, 42. But again, 42, this number stamped all over Black history, encoded in a number of ways. It's Jackie Robinson's birthday. The man who wore 42, Jackie equals 42. If you go to MLB.com, they say Jackie actually wasn't the first black baseball player in white major league. It was Moses Walker, who played in 42 games. Lo and behold, Moses Walker equals 42. Of course, the N-word's 42. So is slavery. So is birthday. It's Jackie Robinson's birthday. Last year on his birthday, we had 3 deaths. Rajuel Butler, the former basketball player, 42 his name. Oscar Gamble, the former MLB player, 42. And Don Lemon's sister, LaTanya Lemon, 42. Again, the thing about Oscar Gamble is he died 42 days after his own birthday, dying on Jackie Robinson's birthday. And here's the story about LaTanya Lemon. She drowned in a pond January 31st. Notice pond equals 59. Lemon, 59. Of course, as we know, Negro, Slave, Blues, Rasta, they're all 59 using the alphabetic order. Hello, caller. Caller?
Hey, who's playing tonight?
Who's playing tonight?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's going on?
LeBron James, he's playing tonight.
Oh, he came in the game, huh?
Yeah, I just got the alert.
Well, that's funny because LeBron, you're calling it a perfect time. You're not in my live stream right now, are you?
I am, but I just got home, so I just called because I wanted to, because I seen your sports decode earlier. You did it without LeBron, so.
Well, they said he wasn't going to play, but now it makes sense because LeBron James equals 42. It's Jackie Robinson's birthday.
Great.
So nice timing because I'm still doing my live stream and I'm talking about that right now. I'm talking about Jackie Robinson's birthday, and then you call in, so your timing's perfect. Are you the same guy who had the Bravo Mike thing happen to him?
Yeah.
And I was just talking about your story 5 seconds ago too. I was just talking about. I was just bringing up your story again because we're talking about how it's Jackie Robinson's birthday, and then you had that Bravo Mike thing happen to you today too. That's weird.
They call all the black people Bravo Mikes.
Yeah, I never knew that before. I'm going to add that to my repertoire. So one more proof. Just shows you what these cops are up to. Again, they're controlled by Freemasonry.
Oh yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the heads up.
All right.
All right. Take care, man. Okay, so it's LeBron's birthday and LeBron James. Or not LeBron's birthday, it's Jackie Robinson's. And now LeBron returns. Something else. And for the record, from LeBron's injury to today, it's 37 days. Los Angeles is 37. The 2 LA teams are playing today. Oh, man. But LaTanya Lemon supposedly drowned in a pond. Rajuel Butler died in a car crash, like how Jackie Robinson's son died in a car crash at age 24. And I forget how they said Oscar Gamble died, but 42 days after his own birthday, former Major League Baseball player, dead at 68, Afro 68, Noose 68. That's the story today with this man also, that the police now have video evidence that he came into a hotel with a noose around his neck. And in addition to the obvious symbolism, don't forget that in Freemasonry, one of the initiations is you get blindfolded and a noose put around your neck. So is this Jussie Smullett going through his initiation? Probably. We have a new member of this research. He just found this work recently, and man, he called me up today and he gave me this awesome decode on this event right here. He has so much more than I'm about to show you. And he asked if I could include it all in my podcast, but I was listening on the phone. I was like, dude, I mean, you just blew my mind, but I can't remember everything you just said. So I said, can you call in? And he said, well, I can't tonight, but he's going to call in soon and tell us everything there is about this. He did all this really crazy research, but I think he's going to be a nice new contributor. It's exciting to have all these people finding this work and doing it and digging up their own nuggets. But there's a lot to this speech that London Breed gave yesterday, the State of the City, kind of like the State of the Union, but for San Francisco. She gave it yesterday, January 30th, 2019, a perfect date. It's interesting how they call it the State of the City because that has good overlap with San Francisco and Gematria. But yesterday also had the 50-date numerology in San Francisco's 50, reminding how they hosted Super Bowl 50, the golden anniversary. And, of course, their football team's named after the Gold Rush, the 49ers. But I noticed to her upcoming birthday, which is the date we're looking out for, August 11, 2019, it's also a span of 174 days, and that's a very special number. So see what the State of the City is on August 11, 2019. And I look forward to this man calling in. He had all sorts of nuggets. He even was talking about an article that described her attire that she wore and all that was encoded into it. So I know we'll hear it from him soon. And I told him I wouldn't present a lot on this tonight. I'd save it for him. So trying to encourage him to call into the program. And he says he will. This might be him right here. Caller?
Yeah, Zach, this is Brandon with that, what you're just talking about there.
Are you in the live stream right now?
Yeah, I was until I just called you now.
So you already signed up for the Patreon and got on here?
I just did, and you started talking about me, so I called.
Amazing. All right. Well, if you're ready to hit the floor already, you got it.
Yeah, I can just do like a basic overview.
Okay.
If you want, yeah.
Yeah, I do want you to. Go for it, man.
Total. All right, let's do it. Yeah, so Mayor London Breed, her name has a lot of geometric components to it. 180, 360, 108, 54. All of these are components of a pentagram, interior angles and such.
Which is said to be the most amazing shape in sacred geometry because of all that it contains.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Yeah, it's repenting. You know, right? It's like it is. Yeah, it's a fractal, and yeah. So this seems to be a pentagram ritual. The reason why I say that is because I just discovered this based on observation. She happened to be wearing coral red. Coral red matches her name in Gematria with 243, Mayor London Breed, and Coral Red, 243. Coral Red also finishes off the pentagram with 72 and 36, both angles involved in that. Then there's the place that she hosted the event wasn't at City Hall. It was at the LGBTQ Center, which has a gematria of 111, 77, and 252, connecting that to State of the City address, all three ways. It started at 11:30 a.m., so that's 113. And it was on 1/30, so another 1/3. The weird connections really start to come about when you parallel it to the Golden Gate Bridge and the Golden Gate in Jerusalem. Golden Gate in Jerusalem has a nickname of the Gate of Mercy, which is the right-hand pillar. Or stage left on the Kabbalah there, and the opposing pillar would be the pillar of severity. Right. So if the nickname to the gate of the east is mercy, then the nickname to the gate of the west would be gate of severity. Right. And the gematria of gate of severity just so happens to match perfectly with 177, natural disaster, 69, which is Golden Gate Bridge, and 73, which that ties in as well. 73 connects it to it gets really complicated, actually. Hiram Abiff is this character in the third degree of masonry. He's a parable, and he happens to be killed in the gate of the east. And let's see. So San Francisco is. Another anecdote about San Francisco, which is really weird, is it adds up to 122 and 378. And the coordinates of the Golden Gate Bridge are 37.8 north and 122 west. So that lines up perfectly with that. And then the natural disaster and the Golden Gate Bridge connection and all of these things make me believe that like some kind of the implication itself is so severe because it would say that some kind of natural disaster is headed for San Francisco. And if that is the case, this being the LGBTQ capital and a natural disaster wiping it out, it would have a lot of biblical parallels to Sodom and Gomorrah. And it just so happens that Sodom and Gomorrah equals 180 and 81, just like Mayor London Breed does, as well as 360, just like London Breed does, as well as 252. 252 and 1080. 1080 is also found in Golden Gate, and 252 is found in State of the City address. Mayoral and State of the City address match with 111, as well as LGBTQ with 111. And mayoral too is 330, which is also Mayor London Breed. So there's just I opened up all the ciphers for this one, but there's just a laundry list of cross-corollary connections that are linking together San Francisco and Jerusalem, and a biblical sort of natural disaster event, and some kind of this pentagram ritual sort of deal. Also, the gate in the east is called the Sha'ar Harashamim, which equals 77 and 242, which 242 matches San Francisco, and 77 is everywhere. 77 is LGBTQ, State of the City address, Golden Gate, Jerusalem, and and as well as the Shahar Harashamim. And then the Gate of Mercy matches with 55 to Hiram Abiff, and as well as Gate of Severity matches 55. So that ties them all together. Gate of Severity and Gate of Mercy match at 55 with Hiram Abiff. That's kind of the gist of it that I have so far.
Yeah, you got a lot, man. The chat room's loving you, man. You're doing great work. And you remind me that when I first started this research, I used to say things in my videos that I hope people who are smarter than me find this, because I just know they're going to take it even further. And you're one of those people for sure. So keep it up, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to finish that pentagram ritual. The only thing I haven't found is the 540 or the 216. And another thing real quick is Mayor London Breed has the initials MLB, and that ties into Major League Baseball.
Huh.
And so I have not done any of that research yet, but I haven't even looked up the San Francisco Giants or how this might correlate.
Yeah, that's what you just made me think of, is the San Francisco Giants and Oakland Athletics World Series and the World Series earthquake. If you've never seen me talk about that before, the last thing shown on TV before the earthquake began in terms of the baseball coverage was Jose Canseco crossing home plate on the replay from the night before. The earthquake began at 5:04 p.m. sharp, kind of like 54. And baseball's 54. But the thing that's really interesting is from Jose Canseco's birthday to the quake was 107 days later. Jose Canseco's full name equals 107. So does earthquake. So does military. So, yeah, that's a good thought there with the MLB. And that will be during Major League Baseball season. So I wonder if the Giants' schedule's out yet. I'd like to see if they play on August 11th. That could be a great tell.
Right. And that definitely that might close off the pentagram ritual. I'm not really sure yet, but I definitely want to find those two missing numbers, 540 and 216.
Yeah, I already know you're going to find them, man. Keep it up.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, thank you. You have a good night.
You too.
Well, that surprised me, because when I talked to him earlier, he told me he wasn't signed up for the Patreon yet. I said, oh, well, I mean, you can do that if you want to, or you can just call him when I do my next live stream. But bam, Johnny on the spot. I probably talked to him, I don't know, an hour before I started the live stream. So that was very cool. That was very cool. And he said he just found the research recently. So look at that. I mean, he's going places. Somebody else pointed this out to me today. This isn't one of my discoveries. I brought up, maybe I brought it up yesterday or 2 days ago, I forget. I mentioned how last year, the Friday before the Super Bowl, where the Patriots ended up losing, the Dow collapsed 666 points. Remember, that was on February 2nd, the 33rd day of the year. And then the Monday after the Super Bowl where the Patriots lost, the Dow had its worst day in history, falling 1,175 points. Somebody pointed out that in the trigonal cipher, the Eagles motto, fly Eagles fly, equals 1175. And the way the trigonal cipher works, in case you're wondering, is F is the sixth letter, right? F is the sixth letter. When you add 1 through 6 together, it equals 21. L is the 12th letter. When you add 1 through 12 together, it equals 78. So you see that F becomes 6, 21, L becomes 78. Y is the 25th letter. When you add 1 through 25, it equals 325. So that's how this cipher works. And it's not a cipher that we touch very often, but I have trouble believing that's a coincidence. Fly, Eagles, fly. Big theme there at the Super Bowl. And here's my favorite guy. Somebody taught me something new. This shirt that he's wearing here is so interesting. All right, here we got a call from Virginia. Let me take this real quick, and then I got to show you something. Virginia?
Yeah, you doing a live stream now?
Yeah, I'm doing the live stream right now. It's the nightly podcast on Patreon.
Okay, you just finished talking about London Breed and the Pentagon's ritual.
Right, you're here.
Okay, that's what I'm calling in for. I listened to your broadcast thing from yesterday, the radio one. And they was thinking about the theme for the Super Bowl. And I'm looking at it as what I was talking to you about with the Queen being killed this year and the transgenders being the they call them drag queens,
right?
And that's the goat ritual that they're dealing with, and all this time together, it don't seem like it's a coincidence. I'm thinking that the theme that they dealing with this year is about the transgenders and drag queens. Remember I told you look up certain sites that deal with the anatomy of how they can detect a man transform into a woman and a woman transform into a man by the anatomy.
Sure.
The bone structures don't lie.
Right.
That's how they do it with forensics.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the theme I'm looking at as 9/11. They deal with the goat a lot as they ritual god that they sacrifice a lot of things to, and that just ties in with it. So I'm looking at seeing what the Super Bowl halftime show gonna be. If a lot of transgenders are going to be in it,
Well, on that thought, the Rams and the Saints, which ended up being the NFC Championship, they were the first two NFL teams to have male dancers this year on the sideline. So,
right.
So now we got one of those teams in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I see where you're going. That you could be onto something here.
Right. So, he was trying to figure out what the theme was, and I say that fits perfectly with the Queen of Soul dying and the Queen clothing line coming out for the tennis player, Nicki Minaj coming out with her Queen's album. It's just
right.
A lot of Queens been coming in. We thought it was about the flag because the flag 26, but Queens is 26, and transgender is 62. Yeah. And that's the mirror of it. So
right.
the thing could have been about transgender or the goat ritual.
And now that you say that, I'm thinking about how Aretha Franklin's a Michigan star and Tom Brady played his college ball at Michigan. I'm thinking about that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Did
you ever have time to check out the transgender breeding program, Age of Deception?
I haven't checked that out, but I'll make a note of it. I'll look into it.
Yes, please do. I want to hear your input on that, Zach, because I couldn't take it apart, and I want you to try to take it apart and try to debunk tricks of the soft trade. Those are the two best channels I see when it comes to, like we said, when these people are breeded into this. They born to do this, and they actually taking children and castrating them as boys and growing them up as women. And the boys, the vice versa. Like you see Will Smith doing it to their children. Angelina Jolie, it's a girl, but they raising it as a boy. And these are our future stars and entertainers. Same thing with Ciara with Russell Wilson, baby. She's growing it up as a male, but it's a female, and it could be the future quarterback. It's sick, but this reality has to be known, and We have to see what these people are capable of and what they're doing, and we got to do something about it. Maybe this reality is what we need to see to wake the people up to how serious this is.
Sure, and how backwards things are. Yeah, you're making good points.
Right, because it dawned on me when I looked at Ellen's show, and Michelle Obama had something swinging down there. And some people say she said it was a microphone, but something is swinging between her legs. And you can see it clearly with the videos they have today. And you can go back in time and look at it that it's not been altered or nothing. Something swinging between Michelle's legs. You know, and like Joan Rivers said, she's a trainee. We all know. You know, so that's something to be looked at with the tricks of the salt trade. He do the best job. And being that Tom Brady could be a girl, that's just mind-boggling. You don't even want to say that to people. You know, but just think if they got that capability and they doing that. Look at what we dealing with, the type of people we dealing with. And they show you the history of they always been doing this. It's not nothing new. Queen Victoria. Victoria, that's her secret. She's a tranny. I looked at it, I researched it. That's a tranny. I did the measurements on her waist and everything. That Queen, that's her secret. Victoria's secret was a man. Princess Stephanie, that's a tranny. Those two I can see clearly. So I look forward to seeing your input on age of deception, transgender breeding, and the other one to look at is tricks of the salt trade. He do quite a good introduction to all this. I like the way he presented the argument.
All right, I'm going to look into it. I appreciate the recommendations. You make some great points. Thank you.
All right. And you know what? And that's the creator, when the brother called in about the police pulling over, we'll call him Bravo Mike.
Right.
I know that's not a coincidence. That's the creator with us. And then the other brother that came on was talking about London Breed. That's not a coincidence. That's the creator working with us, so we know he with us.
Right. Yeah.
So that's good. That's good to know. So stay strong with that. Stay with it. We're doing good. I think we're gonna win this war. We keep sticking together like we're doing it.
I agree.
The students that you're doing, they're coming up good.
I agree. I appreciate your optimism and your message. All right, man. You have a good night.
Okay, man.
All right.
You too.
Take care.
All right, see you.
So this man here is interviewing people about 9/11, and I learned something tonight. I didn't know what this hand was. I wasn't familiar with this symbol, but somebody was, and they pointed out what it was to me, and this just blew my mind. I mean, what I was focused on was the all-seeing eye and what was written on the shirt. Just real quick to recap what I already knew. What's written on, obviously on the shirt is the all-seeing eye, which is Masonic symbolism. All-seeing eye 119, like Star of David, like Orthodox. Remember, Israel was very central in 9/11. You had the dancing Israelis. You had Ehud Barak, the leader of Israel, saying we needed to declare a war on terrorism against Afghanistan and Iraq, just as we did. September 11th can be written 11/9. So what an interesting shirt to wear when interviewing people about September 11th. Plus, the shirt says, don't bite the hand that feeds you, which equals 134, like Tisha B'Av, like 9th of Av, which are the same thing. Tisha B'Av's to remember the destruction of the two temples. 9th of Av is the English way to say it. The two temples, the two towers, in Jewish gematria, Tisha B'Av is 9/11. And anyway, so there's that. But here's what's even more interesting. Here's what's even more interesting. So this longtime follower let me know that this is called the Hand of Hamza, or the Hamza hand. And look at this. Look at the gematria. Oh, here, I'll just read what it is first. The Hamza hand is an ancient Middle Eastern amulet symbolizing the hand of God. In all faiths, it is a protective sign. It brings owners happiness, luck, health, and good fortune. The Hamza hand has a wide variety of different spellings. So, you know, it sounds nice on the surface. And what jumps out here, though, is the gematria of it in light of the fact, if you watch his interview, he's using the term false flag over and over and over. 9/11 false flag, Building 7. Look at the gematria overlap of Hamza hand and false flag. It is a perfect overlap in all four ciphers. And I do not think that this person has a clue that this is what's encoded in this symbol. I think this person was made to wear this T-shirt when he did this. Because I think this person is somebody out there following orders, you know? I mean, what are the odds of this? I mean, the all-seeing eye got me from the beginning, but I didn't even know about this Hamza hand. But then when I saw the Gematria and I first started it, I was like, wait a minute, isn't that exactly how false flag is in all four ciphers? And I looked, I said, oh my God, it is. So what do you make about that? Is that right? Well, his name just the regular way is 68 too, like the year that everything went down for 9/11. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I'd never heard of this before. The Hamza hand. Yeah, I agree. For everybody, for my man in the chat with the number 42, for anybody offended by his name, no, he is a black man. He's just trying to raise awareness about the number. But yeah, I said the same thing about Handsome Truth. I said, I got to give credit where it's due. He did put a big banner over a California freeway that said, Google dancing Israelis. And after he did that, I said, hey, if everybody went out and did that, like if everybody went out to their closest freeway overpass, everybody that lives in a populated area, I could go do that well, there are no freeway overpasses anywhere near where I am. I live in the middle of nowhere now. But if everybody did that in a busy city, a lot more people would learn about 9/11 right overnight. Another good one would just be to go out and say, research Building 7, because I'd probably say that at least 75% of the American people have never heard of Building 7. They don't know about Building 7, the Solomon Brothers building. And don't forget, it was called the Solomon Brothers building, because that's a lot like Solomon's temple, which is the first temple that was destroyed in regards to Tisha B'Av. If Nathan, are you asking about the guy wearing the shirt? He was asking people about 9/11, what they thought about the term false flag and all that. And then lo and behold, he's got this shirt on, you know? Yeah. Yeah. I got to figure out how to do more things to get the word out. That's for sure. So, well, you guys, we've gone about an hour. Try to keep the podcast around an hour each day. Before I sign off, if anybody just wants to call in and got something important to say, the number is 509-731-0567. If you guys want to save it for later, that's okay too, but I'll give you a minute to phone in just in case anybody's got some parting words. Yeah, buy land. I really do think we got to figure out how to make a community. So we got New York calling in.
Hey, Zach, what's going on, Zach?
Hey, thanks for calling, man.
I got two stories for you. Did you hear about the pharmaceutical company Purdue Pharma?
I did not.
That they are being sued right now, and I think it's a certain date that come up that they got to release some information how they misleading. I think they with the opium. I think they main thing is opium. Whatever the crisis is like. They suing them. The people that's dying of the opium, the families want to sue the company, and the families that behind Purdue Pharma, it's like a big company. I saw this today before I came to work. But this family, their names are on museums and their names are on a lot of stuff. So I want you to look up Purdue Pharma.
I got it up on the screen. Yep.
And what they say that they misleading people. They misleading people about the opium problem, like about how it's supposed to be good for people, but really they knew it wasn't good for people, and how they did false advertisements to it. And when I looked at that story, I went back to 2016. It said that the pharmaceutical company spent $3 billion on advertising and 24 billion advertising to doctors. So basically, if they spent $3 billion advertising to to the regular people, and they spent 24 advertising to the doctors, and they said globally, half of the pharmaceutical money come from the U.S. and Canada, and we only make up 7% of the whole world population. So basically, they want to sue that family. So I want you to find out about Purdue Pharma and that family behind it. And my second story is, did you see the intelligence committee at Congress talking about how China and Russia have the technology to affect our power grid and our banking system or whatever like that? And they said it had to do with that. Remember that Chinese woman who was in charge of that company?
Oh, she got arrested, right?
Yeah. And so they're saying that China and Russia have the technology to knock out the grid or mess up the financial system. I just want you to take a look at the two stories.
I will look at it. That's the one thing that's been foreshadowed for a decade now, the power grid going down. So yeah, good thought there. I appreciate it.
Okay, so I just wanted to tell you about those two stories.
All right, I'll look into it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, have a good night, man. Somebody else was just trying to call in while he was on the line. I'm gonna wait for you to call back before we wrap this up. So the line is open. Looking up this story while I'm waiting for this guy to call back. Caller? Well, maybe he only had that one opportunity. All right, he's calling in. Hello, caller.
Hey, Brother Zach, what's happening, my friend?
Doing well. Thanks for calling us.
Yeah, real quick. I saw this about a week or two ago. On August 11th, the San Francisco Giants are playing the Philadelphia Phillies. The biblical Philadelphia Phillies.
Wow.
And then on the 11th of August on Tisha B'Av. Then the next series, I think, starts on the 13th. They're playing the Oakland A's.
Well, let's just stop at August 11th and then play in Philadelphia. That's the areas that are connected. The Bay and Philadelphia plus Philadelphia equals 223, and it's the 223rd day of the year. So, and that's the biblical city, and we're talking about this biblical riddle. So that's something else.
Yeah, I think I saw it on Woke Sports or something. One of these websites had mentioned, or Dan Barrett's website had mentioned that that's the day that they're playing the Philadelphia Phillies. So very interesting. And the next series is the same series where we had the earthquake series, Oakland Athletics against the San Francisco Giants.
Wow.
August. So very interesting. Just want to let you know, brother.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That game starts at 1:05 p.m. too, and just for the record, baseball equals, or not baseball, Bible equals 105. Again, that's biblical riddle. Somebody else just tried to call in. I'm gonna wait for you to call back now before I wrap this up. I'm gonna let everybody get their call in here who has something to say. So the line's open. Feel free to call back. Caller?
Hey, Zach, this is a New York caller.
Oh, the brilliant man. The other guy's smarter than me.
Thanks a lot, man.
Of course.
I got another thing on the Golden Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had these great callers who've contributed more on the Golden Gate. The Golden Gate of Solomon's Temple is also the East Gate of Solomon's Temple. That's where the Moshiach is going to enter. But yeah, the Berkeley caller who he pointed out that the East Gate is the Gate of Mercy.
Right.
And the Gate of Mercy equals 118.
Right.
and also the Pillar of Mercy. That's a reference to the Pillar of Mercy
Kabbalah.
in the Kabbalah Tree of Life.
Right.
The Pillar of Mercy in Kabbalah is called Chesed. In English, that's spelled Chesed. And what do you think the gematria is of that, of Chesed?
Is it 118?
Yeah, 118.
Amazing.
So there's another 118 for you.
Amazing. Hey, remind me. Oh, okay. Finish your thought, but then when you're done, will you remind me what's in that documentary about the bridge too? Because I never got to look at it, but I remember you had something really good there.
Oh, the bridge documentary?
Uh-huh.
You want to know what the documentary was about?
Well, I know what the documentary is about. It's about the suicides on the bridge, but there was some really good observation you had about it.
Oh, I mean, I have my notes on it. I mean, maybe I can email you my notes on it.
That would be great.
What's the email? It's
GematriaEffectNews@gmail.com.
Gematria Effect News. Okay, well, I'll email you my notes on that.
Okay,
But yeah, it's about suicides, and also I remember that the name of the filmmaker, his name lined up perfectly with Freemason. This is a 96 and there's a 42. Yeah, his name lined up perfectly. And I remember there's no information on his Wikipedia page, but the only thing they did say about him was that he went to Yale. That's it.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I'll email you my notes. I also want to give you've been talking about Hickok a lot today. I want to give a shout out to him because I had a little exchange with him in the comment section on a Dan Behrendt video.
Uh-huh.
I had mentioned about the age of Aquarius, which is the new age that we're going into.
Right.
Yeah. And he mentioned that Aquarius, I think it's Aquarius and Earthquake, had the same gematria, and he brought up the Hoover Dam.
Huh.
And he referred me to his blog. I think it's 27 Decoding, I think it is, where he did some work on Hoover Dam, and he did some really great work on Hoover Dam. So I want to give him a shout out. But in reference to that, because I've got a ton of stuff on Hoover Dam. Then,
well, I look forward to that for your next call, man. Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, but remember you did a decode on the dam that just broke in Brazil.
Right.
And the
right.
The date was January 25th when it happened.
Right.
I looked at my notes on Hoover Dam, and I got a ton of stuff on Hoover Dam. But I noticed how 125 was a big number in my Hoover Dam decode. So I thought, Brazil dam was breached on January 25th, 125. Like, wow, okay. So I'm gonna give you some of the 125 I came up with on the Hoover Dam. President Herbert Hoover is 125.
Huh.
Breach. Because the dam breach, you say breach, that's the official term for it.
Right.
Breach is 125.
Huh.
The Hoover Dam is on the 36th parallel north. When you spell out 36th parallel north, it's 125.
Huh.
A movie where the Hoover Dam was destroyed or breached was way back. They did Superman 2. When you write out Superman 2 with 2 written in the Roman numeral
I,
so Superman I. That's 125.
Huh.
Now, there's another movie where the Hoover Dam was destroyed. That's the movie San Andreas, starring Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Right.
Now, a lot of theorists, a lot of speculators are saying maybe the next big false flag, the next 9/11, so to speak, might be the Hoover Dam. And there's a lot of synchronicity between the Hoover Dam and the World Trade Center in New York City. The observatory for the One World Trade Center Freedom Tower officially opened on May 29th, 2015. The movie San Andreas came out on that very same day. The One World Trade Center, it's located on 285 Fulton Street in Manhattan. When you spell out 285 Fulton Street, it's 125 again in septenary. So, yes, 125 was a big number on Hoover Dam. So the dam breaking was January 5th was significant. Also the movie San Andreas, its running time is 114 minutes. Hoover Dam is on the 114th meridian. I got a lot more. There's an overpass named after Pat Tillman. That opens up a whole new rabbit hole. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Also want to follow up on I looked at on the Hoover Dam thing. I looked at what you came up with on Hoover Dam on your blog, and I also looked at what Hickok did on his blog, and to see if there's synchronicity, and there was synchronicity around the number 113. You guys both came up with 113 in your Hoover Dam decodes.
It's been a long time. I don't think I've talked about the Hoover Dam since 2014, but yeah, I need to go back and look.
Yeah, it was a while back, but so 113 is also relevant to the One World Trade Center, which opened November 3rd. So there's a lot of synchronicity. Also, I want to follow up on. Remember yesterday I talked about how in the aftermath of all these supposedly Al-Shabaab bombings in Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa, how the government announced that it was going to make a DNA database of every resident of Kenya. That means citizens and non-citizen residents. That's 50 million people. There's going to be a DNA database, and also they're going to issue IDs with an RFID chip, which has a GPS location on it. So that's just one step away from actually implanting the chip. So this is the RFID chip that a lot of people have been anticipating. Like people thought it was a wild conspiracy, but here it is. And Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, Kenya, the whole country as a whole, looks like it's this is where it's going to start. So it's hard to find information. I know it sounds like some pretty outrageous stuff, and there's not much information on it, except from the Kenyan news outlets. Because last night I heard some people were interested in it, and they probably had a hard time finding anything on the net regarding that. But you'd have to go to a Kenyan news site. So I can, in the chat, I'm going to leave a link to a Kenyan website.
I see it.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah, I see the link right now.
To that, if you link to that, you'll see the article. I'm just going to read it real quick.
Yeah.
The government, this is the Kenyan government, the government is set to start collecting DNA profiles and GPS location in new ID registration system. Through amendments to the Registration of Persons Act, Kenyans will be required to provide their DNA samples that will be used for precise identification of persons. And they actually have a picture of people already lining up. It says insert biometric data means unique identifiers or attributes including fingerprints, hand geometry, earlobe geometry, retina and iris patterns, voice waves, and deoxyribonucleic acid in digital form. All that is in the chip on the ID. The chip on the identification card will have all that information. Then the president of Kenya got up and made a speech. I know he's initiated into the brotherhood for sure. So he made some speech about, I'm keeping you safe. We need to do this. This is his quote. He made a pretty ominous statement here. He said, to enhance the progress made by the Integrated Population Registration System, that's a fancy name for it, the IPRS, my administration will complete a central master population database, which will be the authentic, this is a quote, this is on this quote, he called it, which will be the authentic single source of truth on personal identity in Kenya. So that term, single source of truth, that just sounds like a New World Order phrase.
Sure.
So yeah, so you won't hear that in other outlets, but that's a good source on that. But just to end it, I did, since this is a Gematria show, I did some Gematria on this. So it's Revelation 13:17, which says, "And no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark, with the name of the beast." So that's a Revelation reference to that RFID chip. Nairobi in Gematria is 121 and 49. Revelation is 121 and 49. Antichrist is 121 and 49. Yeah, so that's what I got on that.
Very interesting. Great work, man. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a great show. Great work from you and the great callers as well.
Yeah, you guys make it better. Your phone started to break up at the end, but I think hopefully people could still understand what you were saying. I could understand you, so hopefully it transmuted okay.
Okay.
All right, man. Keep it up.
Okay. Yeah, I'll email you what I got on the bridge documentary.
Okay, I look forward to that. Thank you.
All right, take it easy.
All right, you have a good night. Bye. Somebody's been trying to call. I'm not sure that they're part of this live stream or if they're just somebody who's trying to call me. People call this phone all hours. Let me just call them back. It's going to be the last caller of the night.
Hello.
Hey, caller, are you in the live stream right now?
No, I'm not. I'm actually a truck driver. I'm driving right now. I was trying to see what would be the best time to call you.
Okay, well, you were calling, but somebody was on the other line because I'm doing a live stream taking callers right now, but I wanted to call you back. I'm still doing the live stream right now. Could you call me tomorrow morning?
What time would be good for you? Because I would work all through the night, so I usually get up about 1 or 2. I know you way on the other coast. I'm in Georgia, in Atlanta.
You know what? Here, I'll wrap up this live stream and I'll just call you back and we can talk.
All right, because I had some questions to get to you. That was all.
Okay, I'll call you back here in like 5 minutes.
All right, thank you.
All right, welcome. Bye. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. See hands. I'm going to be in touch with you real soon. Oh, hold on. I thought that was the end of the show, but we got another caller here. Caller?
Hey.
Hello.
Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to add something real quick to the Giants game on August 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently it's the 1989 Giants team reunion that day.
Really?
Yeah, it's on their website. And I just did a quick little decode.
The 1989 team reunion, seriously?
Yes. They're handing out Battle of the Bay pins.
That is too crazy. That's for people who don't know, that's the year they had the World Series earthquake.
That's right. That's right. And I did a quick little decode. Natural disaster equals 223.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I've been talking about that, and it's the 223rd day of the year. Exactly.
And it also equals 821 in Jewish, which is the 142nd prime.
Wait, help me connect that. Where's the 140? Oh, yeah, it leaves 142 days in the year.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I just wanted to, get that point.
Well, maybe nothing will happen. Maybe that's the big tribute. They're just going to pay tribute to the last major earthquake that happened there. But no, knowing the way these people work, man, that's probably another sign. I can't believe that.
Too many numbers, man.
That is crazy.
Yeah. All right, man. It's good talking to you, though.
Hey, great observation. Thanks for calling in. Let us know.
Thanks. All right.
All right. Take care,
Later.
man. Well, the callers made the show tonight. Way to put it together, team. I'm not the man. You guys are the men and the women. And you guys, honestly, like I said, I didn't use the right words when I called it. I said, oh, here's the other guy smarter than me. I should have said, here's another guy smarter than me. The truth is, you guys, I'm actually not that smart. I just work real hard. That's always been my secret in this world. There's a lot of people that are smarter than me, but there's not a lot of people that work harder than me. So I got to make up for the intelligence gap with the hard work. And if you guys watch me from the beginning, I'd always say, someday somebody's going to find this who's way smarter and really going to take this somewhere. So I think we'll leave it there. I said I got to call this guy back from Atlanta. I'll call him back, and then I'm going to drink some chamomile tea and go to bed. So, all right, you guys, great job. Thanks as always. Hold on. Fermenti left something in the comments here. Fermenti, what did you tell me a minute ago? I saw it passively while I was listening to the caller. There was something I was supposed to look up. Shoot. Oh, let's just wrap it up. Fermenti, you got my number. Call me and tell me what it was. All right, you guys, have a good evening. Until next time.